The word discotheque was coined in 1941 in Paris, where the first official discotheque in the world came to being. It was called Les Discothèques. And then in 1947, why discotheque? It played records instead of live bands. And then 1947, I guess the first real dance jazz club came to being with recorded material, also in Paris, Whiskey a Go Go, and then so on and so forth until the disco gods or disco lords of the Philippines took over in the 70s and 80s. Good morning. Welcome to Boomer's Banquet. My name is George, and today this is what you might call a powerhouse cast composed of the disco royalty of the 70s and 80s. Louie Ysmael, of course, is with us. We're very grateful for having him here. Jessie Gonzales also, Altitude 49, etc., etc. Boyet, the Boyet Sison, of
Wow,
course,
big.
who is everywhere, omnipotent, no, and omniscient. And Bob Novales, say good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm in a disco mood right now. Nagja-John Travolta ako noong late 70s, pero hindi ko kaya yung ginagawa ni Boy at Season. Lahat ng
Oh,
format kayang gawin. Lahat ng sayaw kayang gawin. Pati yung paghuhubad, ginawa na rin just for
mhm.
this. And I welcome Paring Boyet over to our coverage. Also, we're welcoming Louie Y and Jessie Gonzales. And later on, Wopsy Zamora. At yung isa pa naming host, papakilala rin namin sa inyo,
Yeah.
Teddy Perenya. Good morning, Teddy.
Teddy, mabango yan ngayon.
Magandang umaga. Good morning. actually may lagnat ako ngayon.
Ganon? Naku,
Oo, disco
ay,
fever.
ayun.
Disco fever.
Definition. Kaya dapat
Good
merong
morning.
BioFresh.
BioFresh. Antimicrobial stocks.
Ayos ano ah. Okay, let's get started right away. Louis, first, no? We're very grateful that you're around. How have you been ever since this pandemic started? Must have been a really, really bad blow for you.
Well, yeah, me and my partners are just holding on and waiting for the new normal to come
Mm-hmm.
around. But it's not going to be the same anymore. Whether you have lesser restrictions and clubs are open, bars are open, you still can't have the same vibe that you used to have before. So it's kind of like disconcerting. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah.
I'm my group now. We own the Palace, which is a complex of 5 clubs, and
Mm-hmm.
most of those clubs are indoor clubs, and they can't be opened. So, um, you know, we only just recently reopened the island, which is an open venue,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because the IATF won't allow you to open anything else indoors. So, but still, it has all the social distancing restrictions. There are age restrictions. Uh, you can't go in without a mask or a shield, and you can only act normal and participate in maybe a little bit of social um, uh, uh, going around and saying hi to each other, but only if you have a drink or food in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of it's depressing, really, to tell you the
Mm-hmm.
truth.
Well,
Not like
I can
before.
imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. I was talking, Bombi Balquedra was advertising the island, and I was wondering how you guys are gonna do it because of all the restrictions and everything. Everything is affected, including sales of food and drinks, right?
Yeah, and we are only allowed to have a 50% capacity, and that 50% still has to be separated.
Yeah.
So it's not walang sosyalan. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It's not a good friendly club bar vibe anymore. So, but
Mm-hmm.
still, if you come in with your close friends, and eventually, I guess, since everybody's supposed to be okay when they get in, uh, I don't think they'll give us such a hard time as far as socializing inside is concerned, you know. But then again, there's still that paranoia of getting close to people, you know, and you know, going up to them, and it's more groups that are going to be socializing with themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very difficult. Okay, let's go to Jesse. This time, Jesse, you were handling discos before. You were one of the what you might call the more ubiquitous persons in the dance industry, and then you opened DMC, and you became the godfather
I think we lost him.
the yeah. We lost Jesse.
Sorry.
Let's go over to the godson of disco of DJs, Boyet Sison. Boyet, good morning to you.
Good morning, Koya. Good morning, Tito George, Tito Bob, Tito
Tito
Teddy,
George, ah.
and
Hindi na
Tito
nakakabit.
Louie.
Dito ka.
Huwag mo ko itito, loko ka.
Ayan na, ayan, Tito Jessie. Balikan mo na kay Tito Jessie.
Jesse, as I was saying,
I'm
the
back.
more you,
I'm back.
yeah, the godfather of DJs in the Philippines. Ano ba pinagagagawa mo ngayon?
George, hindi ko gaanong narinig. Sounds kind of choppy.
Okay. What have you been
Bilang
doing
ninong.
lately? No. You left the dance scene, except probably DMC, but you're in another field right now, right?
Well, I'm into producing live concerts.
Live concerts, and that
Yeah.
has been affected tremendously also with
We
what's
canceled a
happening now.
lot of shows last year
Mhm.
from, I think, about 5 shows. And
Ouch.
we don't know yet kailan babalik to. So, but we're still preparing. Those cancellations we had is may mga deposito na yan, so I have to bring them back because we paid some amount of money already.
Yeah, oo. Naka-ano yan, di ba? Naka-escrow na yan? Yung the money that you're supposed to pay
Yeah,
them?
naka-escrow naman sa banko yung deposito.
Oo.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Regarding
Great.
DJs naman, me and Boyd, we just finished our DMC Online Championship last year. And we're still doing a lot of small pocket events by invitation just to have some DJ movements to make them
I see.
spirits alive para andyan pa din sila kahit na may pandemic.
Mhm.
Alam mo,
Very
hirap,
good.
ano? Hirap buhayin, ano, Jesse? I can recall nung heyday, nung lahat pumasok sa disco at magpatugtog at gayahin si Boyet. No, so, yung mga panahon na yun, how would you compare that to now? Parang ang layo eh. Parang hirap ibalik sa dati. Jess?
Bob, hindi ko gaano
Yeah.
narinig.
Oh, yeah. Yung dati kasi parang iba yung vibe eh, no? Layo. Ngayon, nadinig mo na? Okay. Boyet, ikaw yung interpreter. Sign language mo
Oo.
kay Jessie.
Okay. Okay. Siguro,
It's okay, Jess. It's okay. Later.
Jess, ang tanong ni Bob ito. Nung panahon na nasa disco ka, kasi alam mo, guys, the story of Jessie as a personality now, he has a very colorful history. Just to give you a background, Jessie worked in the Intercon as a cashier
Oh.
and eventually worked his way up to becoming a DJ and eventually made it on his own. Establishing discos, running a radio station which had a cult following, etc., etc. So Jessie, ang tanong ni Bob, paano yung difference noon tsaka nung ngayon para sa'yo?
Well, ang laki ng diferensya kasi digital era na ngayon eh. Well, tama yung sinabi ni Boyet. My story being a DJ, empleyado ko dati ng Hotel Intercon as a cashier bartender at where else. Eh, como I love music, ay nainganyo na ako na to try a bit. And nakiusap ako sa management if I can do training under the mentorship of Lord Shiloh and Rolly Poblete. That was 1974. And finally, after that, nagtuloy-tuloy na ako. I quit working sa hotel. Then I struggled a lot until I found myself being a DJ now. as a profession.
Mhm. Actually, I'd like to take small credit for that because Jessie came to me in XP when it was still Magic Disco 102, and I took him in that time. Remember that, Jesse? 1977 yata yan,
Yeah,
78.
yeah,
Oo,
yeah.
ganun yun eh.
Oo
He
nga
was
pala,
he
kayong dalawa may kasalanan eh. Kayong dalawa eh.
uh, he and Shiloh were the first ones to introduce Puze dito sa Pilipinas, no? Everybody was pronouncing it as Puses until linagay na ni Shiloh doon sa poster sa booth. Puse. Ayan. Yeah. Di
Sa
ba?
album cover nga,
George,
nilagay na
we're
rin
the
yun.
tayo ang naunang gumamit ng word na magic. Magic
Yes.
on air. Correct?
Yeah, Magic on
Yeah.
Air, Magic Disco 102. Yun ang ano doon eh. Yun ang moniker natin dati eh. Sa
1 kilowatt, di ba?
Ten
And that
naman.
was
Ten
the
naman. Five.
the point in time.
5
That was the
kilowatt.
point in time for me that I was a very young boy. That I love music
Naku,
as well.
very
Ikaw yung 1947, Boyet.
Nangiya kayo. Yun, ayun dalawa ni Jessie may kasalanan kung ba't ako tumutugtog ka ngayon eh. Anyway, those were the years wherein radio stations really had the leg up on everybody. Because the discotheques, the disco DJs were also the radio DJs. They were also on radio. So what they were playing in the clubs, they would bring to radio. So it was really cutting edge for me at that time. To hear, I remember George playing mixes as far back as 77.
Yeah.
I remember 99.5 RT airing a 2-hour mixtape on open reel from Studio 54.
That's right.
Well,
I
care of me.
remember that.
That was Louie. That was Louie who
That was
who donated
my
that.
tape.
Diba, the 2-hour. That was
I'm
77.
glad you remember. I'm glad you
No,
remember,
that was
George.
77. But that
Oo.
was 77.
That was on Ampex tape.
Oh, that's the Ampex tape.
On Ampex. My God.
So, 2 hours yun, so meron change reel yan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
may
Yeah.
change yun.
Oh, yun.
I will never
Tapos,
forget
yeah.
that because I
And
still
then,
partly remember the lineup, the song lineup. They had the Detroit Emeralds. They had the first album of Shalimar, Uptown Festival,
Yan.
time around.
Medley yun eh.
Runaway. Ewan ko naalala mo yung Runaway?
Yung Runaway
by
na-
Arpeggio. Runaway by Arpeggio.
Yeah,
Patient,
Patient.
right.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
And those were all the
album-
Studio 54 hits
Yep.
because
Yeah.
that was the peak of Studio 54 actually
54.
77
yes.
to about 84. 77, 84, 85 was studio days. You know.
Actually, it was so funny. We didn't want to change tapes, so we were contemplating on playing it on 3 3/4, transferring it to another tape with a slower speed or 1 7/8. It didn't sound correct. It didn't sound nice. So we just had to stick to the original tape of Louie that time.
Yeah, until you know, I made this agreement with Emilio to promote Stargazer through the music, right? So there was a Stargazer hour or two during the week. I don't know if that was you, George, but I think it was also.
Kids na yata yun, George eh.
Sino pa yung isang
no.
DJ mo?
In RT, baka si Johnny Cesar na. Paano?
Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny Cesar,
Because,
right.
during RT, I was playing in Malacanang already, the Malacanang disco. So I really didn't have time for.
Yeah, I remember that disco. Imelda used to call me to come and host parties there. And her aide de camp at that time was Ricardo Morales.
Oh, Morales and Radcliffe, Colonel Radcliffe.
Si Morales of PhilHealth.
Yeah, of PhilHealth, right.
Oh,
Yes.
tapos nagkudeta siya eh.
Colonel pa lang siya nun eh.
Oh, nagkudeta siya.
Sumama sa RAM.
Sumama sa RAM yan. Nahuli.
Nahuli. Yun yung tatlong nahuli. Part of the 3 people that were supposedly caught.
Yeah.
Louie,
You know-
Louie, tell me.
Good.
this is interesting. Like kanina we were talking about where else and another disco being the first here in the Philippines. But prior to where else, actually, and Lord Shiloh was a part of this also because Lord Shiloh opened where else. Prior to where else, there was Fireplace Disco, which was owned by
Fireplace.
Eugene's Restaurant, Eugene Naidas. No, that was in
Fireplace
Cubao.
was in Cubao,
Cubao.
yeah.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
that was the first discotheque. I was telling Boyet, the booth was on a kalesa. No,
Uh-huh.
we had two
Wow.
we had two turntables na walang pitch control, and then we didn't have a mixer. Dalawang Sansui na tuner. So ginaganyan-ganyan na lang, no? And dapat hindi malikot yung DJ. Pag malikot, tatalon yung plaka eh.
Oo.
So hindi ka pwedeng kumakalog-kalog dun sa,
Oh,
sa
so
pwesto
that
mo.
and then Jungle Bar of Manila Hotel was still the old Manila Hotel was still alive, and they used to play Jungle Bar discotheque ng tawag, but and then it became
Apre.
no,
Lumipat.
not a pray pa eh. Hindi pa
Meron pa
pray.
isa?
Prior to that, meron pa eh. But anyway, tapos Plaza Restaurant had Plaza Airways
Ah.
sa Makati.
Well, don't forget 1571.
1571 of the Hilton, right to the
Hilton.
basement. Yon.
Across
But,
it was
yeah.
reflection.
Yep. Mm. Now, Louie,
Ano yung nasa ulo?
what was your very, very first dance club or disco?
Stargazer.
Stargazer na. Uh-huh.
Yeah. December 79,
Mhm.
we had a soft opening, and then I think we had a full blast opening in January already of 1980.
Mhm.
That came about because of my good friend B-Boy Enriquez, who owned
Yes. Sila is.
the hotel. His family did. One day we were sitting, sometime in '79 early. We were sitting in the Playboy Club in the third floor,
Yep. Right.
and I had just come from abroad. I was living in Paris for a while, and I was traveling a lot, living in New York, Paris, most of the time. And the clubs scene in Europe was really dynamic and classy. You know what I mean? The Stargazer existed already as a medyo space age type decor, with plastic seats and medyo baduy, di ba?
Mhm.
And but it was a very good location. It was on the 19th floor of the Silais, and there weren't too many rooftop venues at that time. And this was overlooking the bay, so it was really perfect. So I told B-Boy, I said, why don't we just turn that into a good classic club like the ones in Europe and in the States, with a little European flair in a tropical setting. So he said, okay, go ahead. So his manager at that time was Bobby Castor. And Bobby had Wopsy. Bobby introduced me to Wopsy to do the light and sound equipment, to redo it all. And then I got the services of Inigo's sister, Dede Sobel, and Chari Velguth, who were best friends and had a little design outfit at that time, So they said, sure, let's do it, because actually this was born from my love for clubbing, I guess, and I wanted to see a place where everybody na social in Manila could enjoy what they see whenever they travel abroad, right?
Mhm.
Give them the same kind of a setup with the music, the lights, and everything. So we hired Wopsy to do with First Audio, and his DJs were some of the first to play there. Ang dami nila, Boyet. There was quite a lineup.
Wow.
of,
No,
of,
that lineup was fabulous. That was a
great
fabulous
lineup. Yeah.
But
And
remember,
he even had a
before-
girl. He even had a girl.
Yeah, Malugalan.
Yeah, who ended up with she
Preston
liked
Powell.
what's his name?
Preston Powell.
Preston was a DJ
Preston
in
liked
Bar.
her.
Yeah. Preston was an American black DJ who played in 54 and O-Bar
Yeah.
in New York. Uh, Howard Stein's famous bar. And I got him here to come and play in Manila because I'd be in New York a lot, and I do the club scenes there. I do Studio 54, I do Yellow Fingers, Butcheria, The Tunnel, Hippopotamus, and
Nag-Paradise
and I,
Garage ka
I
ba?
got to meet these guys, so I asked them to come over, and we paid for Preston's. We got Pal to sponsor Preston, and he came with the Silais. He stayed in the Silais, so may konting talent fee yata. I think at that time medyo $700 yata. 1980, 81, malaki na yan.
Right, right, right,
Uh-huh.
right.
And
Did
then
you
I'd
ever,
buy.
did you ever go to Paradise Garage, Louis? Paradise
Yeah.
Garage, the law.
Yeah. Paradise Garage was another. It was more Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens crowd.
Mhm.
Uh, and a very dami Italiano mafia.
Yeah, Bronx ba naman?
And
Talagang,
yeah, and a lot of blacks. There was also Danceteria, where
Yeah.
Jelly Bean Benitez
Mhm.
was the DJ there, and of course, the Madonna started out with him.
Yeah, that's where she was
Jelly Bean.
discovered by
She,
Jelly Bean. That's
she
yeah.
Madonna was a groupie of Jelly Bean, and he actually discovered her, and the rest is history.
Mhm.
Anyway, New York was the melting pot for
Benta
everything,
talaga.
music and clubs. And I remember my favorite store there was called Downstairs Records. It was between 46th Street, between 5th and 6th. And man, I think I was their best customer. I'd go in there and come out with I'd bring 2 suitcases full of records every time I went, man. People would just look at me. Sometimes they'd like parang close the place just for me to buy. I had to call up to ask them to take care of me.
Mhm.
Boy, that was the time of little 45 singles. You had
Yep.
big 45s. You had the long play single 33 RPMs, and
But
wala pang remix nun. Ano eh? It was
Mhm.
Extended plays pa lang.
Extended lang.
extended play pa lang at saka mga album. You
Yeah.
know? So that's where I found Native New Yorker. I found Evelyn Champagne King there. I found Lavian
Patrice Russian.
Rose, Patrice Russian, Shalimar.
Yeah.
And then later
Whispers.
on, in 80, Angela Clemens, Give Me Just a Little More Time.
Yep.
And she actually came over to Stargazer and performed one New Year. She sang the song 7 times. Wala nang ibang hit eh. One hit wonder yan si Angela Clemens eh. And all the new European records we used to get there, Then I'd start flying to Europe, and buying records there, And then Louie Wise came along, and I was pirated by June Cruz from Silais, which didn't make B-Boy feel too good about that. But the offer was like this compared to what I was getting because GSIS owned the Hyatt, they owned PAL,
Mhm.
so I'd get tickets to fly and buy records anytime on PAL first class, man. But I'd
This
go
was
to Europe
87
and New York.
already, right? This was 87? 87?
84.
84 in
Around
Louis.
87, I think it
Mhm.
became ISIS or something, or 85.
87.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the
84.
because of the
84
revolution. And I left the hotel because of the revolution because si Bubut Kicho, yung GM nun, medyo gumanon with the Cory regime. and told me, Louis, will you stay here for this amount? And because I was making a hell of a lot more than he was, you know what I mean? And he was the manager of the hotel.
Yeah, GM.
So medyo nag-inggit lang ang konti sa akin. And anyway, I took off. I said, all right, take my name down. Take Louis Wise out. And they redecorated it some Egyptian style.
Yeah.
ISIS, yeah.
And then called it ISIS. Not the ISIS that we know later on. But, you know. And my manager then was Johnny Revilla. He was my assistant in Louis Wise. And he stayed behind and worked for them. And then I went to Makati and I opened Pare.
Oh,
remember
yeah, the
Pare
famous
in
Pare.
Mailong?
Right. The famous
Kuya
Pare.
Pare.
Right.
Yeah, with Ray Bautista and
Ray Bautista.
Rudy Sampson and some of the old guys. It was a private. We started off as a private club,
Private
3,500 pesos per membership. Ang daming ayaw magbayad, like you know. So we threw that idea out the window and then just opened it. There was live music. The atmosphere was like a small club in Europe, you know. Live music, interchange with canned
Recorded.
music.
Right.
You know? Yeah, recorded. And there I could play everything. I could play all the European hits. I played cha-cha, mambo, all kinds. I think Jessie remembers. Jessie used to go there, man.
Yeah. And and there's a follow up to what the Louis said for Jessie. Louis was saying something about closing down the record store in New York just to buy records for himself. Now, I remember when we were in RT and we were with Kiss FM, we never really had any supply of records here unless it came from flight attendants. No? From
I
flight
used to use
attendants.
the flight attendant. I used to
Yeah.
use flight attendants for records and booze.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, but then Jessie came along and he started supplying. How did you get into that, Jessie? Graduating from being a DJ, and then all of a sudden you're what you might call the mogul as far as disco records and DJs are concerned.
Siya yung pumalit sa flight attendants.
Oo nga eh.
Ang dami ko rin binili kay Jessie.
Oo nga eh. Ito nga eh. There's one here.
Euphoria days. Euphoria.
Kenya Rasguera. Kenya Rasguera nga sabi hanggang ngayon eh.
Sa Euphoria naman.
4 years din
that
kami
was
ni Louie
after Pare.
magkasama sa Euphoria.
Oo. We it started off with Juliana's. The Juliana's people were the ones that set up the lighting, sounds, and everything. And I remember going to England to discuss and deal with them, and they'd supply me records a little bit every once in a while. But then, aside from my traveling and Jessie's supply, wow, we kompleto kami.
Incredible.
And
that
we
was
had
an unbeatable
DMC.
tandem,
We had
no?
DMC and DMC and who are the other remix records? Ang dami.
Dami.
All the remixes.
Yeah.
Si Jessie,
Nung
tahimik
nagbuo
lang.
kami nung binubuo namin yung DMZ.
Ultimix and DMC.
Yeah, Ultimix. Nung binubuo namin yung DMZ na radio station, kaya Jessie rin kami kumukuha materials. So that's how we got started. Salamat, Jessie.
So ibig niyo George, ibig sabihin ng
Bob.
araw, maliit yung influence
You
ng
you
recording
mentioned
companies.
89 DMC.
Yes, Jessie.
Right.
Bingo Lacson came to me and I gave a lot of support to the late Bingo Lacson for all the records for 89.1 DMC. Hindi
yeah.
alam ng iba yan, but ako yung backup ni Bingo Lacson.
Yeah, kaya sinasabi ko ngayon, totoo yun. Kaya gulat na lang ako, biglang every time may dumarating, uy, galing kay Jessie to, okay to.
Tinatanong ni Teddy, Jessie, ibig sabihin ba noon, the recording companies didn't really have too much influence on the DJs and the discos that time? What do you
Nako!
think? Ito na. Boyet, magkano ka?
Ano?
Magkano
Magkano
ka?
bawat kanta? Well, you know, the sad reality about this was that number one, the importation of imported records was very dominant, more than the local recording companies being actually up to date with what they had on their archives or on their libraries.
Oh, yung catalog
So
nila,
the
right.
clubs would really be a step ahead. And when the club started making the songs hits, the record companies would follow and release their own, their own versions of it, their own local presses of it. But of course, as you've said, the flight attendants, the record suppliers who flew in, really were making a lot of money. It was the heyday of people going out of the country, because now, eventually, by the time it was 79, 80, 81, you didn't really have to go to New York or to Europe, because now you can fly as close to a place like Hong Kong or
Yeah, Tower Records
Singapore
nandun eh.
to get records.
Andrew Bull.
Andrew Bull, correct. Andrew Bull, and in Singapore it was what's her name?
Gary
Jessie.
Calicot.
Oh, si Johnny. Tsaka meron pa isang
Boyet.
babae. Sino yung pari ng sa Singapore?
Boyet, excuse me. Let's not forget, I'd like to mention, malaki din ang support ni Danny Samonte of Sam's
Ay, oo naman.
records
Oh.
along Pasay Road, and also the friend of
Tama.
George Boone, Gary Gorton. You know the
Si Gary
Banquet?
Gorton.
He
Gary-
brings a lot of records.
Gary Gorton
79
was the
to
country
81.
manager. Country manager yan ng Bank of Nova Scotia. So by day,
Wow.
naka-black suit. No? Lalakad yan from Urdaneta Apartments where he lives. Lalakad hanggang sa Nova Scotia in Paseo de Rojas. In the afternoon, 4:30, uwi yan sa Urdaneta. Magmamaong na yan, sneakers. We see each other sa jeepney coffee shop. And then we go to where else and we spin. We never got paid, kaming dalawa. But we had all the booze we wanted and all the food we wanted in where else that time. Yun lang ang bayad sa amin ng Intercon noon. But Gary was a terrific guy.
Una ko na
panahon ni Lord Shiloh.
12 inch.
12 inch na. He brought in a container van full of remixes.
My
Ganun
God.
katindi yun. Oo.
My
On
God.
one container van.
Lalula ako nun. My God. Ibang klase.
Yeah.
And well,
Si Boyet,
Jessie-
naman mainstay sa Stargazer. Boyet.
Yan.
Pero hindi, ano lang ako noon, saling pusa pa
Dancer.
lang. ako.
Dancer with Pinky Amador. With Pinky
Kasi
Amador.
yung mga DJ dati, hindi sumasayaw. Ewan ko lang sila Aki Kunanan, sila Jun Cabrera. Because remember, in the late 70s, you also had places like sa Diwan already in Baguio. You had By Disco, wait. Balls Disco in Cebu. So,
Owned by the
Coco
Louie
Banana.
when you talk about, it was not
Coco
only
Banana.
in Metro Manila. No, but it was not only in Metro Manila that the disco fever was already in full swing. You had places in Cebu. You had a club in Bacolod as well. You had Spectrum in Bacolod. You had N&M in Bacolod as well. You had Balls and Buy in Cebu. In Davao, it was Spams. What else? Ano pa ba?
Apo
North,
Blue
All
Hotel.
those
kaya nga.
clubs started, those provincial clubs started basically, I think, after Stargazer.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Correct.
And
Agreed.
because I myself went to inaugurate some of the clubs because the owners were friends of mine. Like, for example, Spams, before it was Spams, was called One Down.
One down.
Okay.
Correct.
And my God, man, there was a time when nag-brown out sa One Down, and the provincial commander was there. And and so freak out lahat ng tao, kala nila NPA. So labasan ng baril, putang na parang When the lights are on, everybody's going around looking like this with their guns.
Stand
And
down,
then
stand
it
down.
and then it became
Spams. after.
spam,
Yeah.
named after
For
Sunny
Sunny
Pamintuan.
Pamintuan. Right.
Yeah, and I used to do Louie Wise goes to spam. I used to do Louie Wise or goes to buy, and Balls. Balls was owned by Michel Lullier,
Mm.
and
Correct.
and then buy was owned by Fonacier. Si
Anos.
si ano
Anos.
yung sabungero. And one of the owners of Q before.
Si Alberto. Sito.
Yeah,
Sito
Sito.
Alberto.
He's a partner.
Sito.
He's a
Uh,
partner with
Wow.
Anos Fonacier.
Yeah, Anos.
Because
Fonacier.
they own that the plaza, Cebu Plaza.
Cebu Plaza, right. And
What
Tambuli
the
Beach
hotel.
Club.
Right.
Tambuli.
Right.
Yeah.
Tambuli and
And then,
Cebu
I-
Beach
Plaza,
Club.
where Y101 eventually existed.
Yeah. Until now, I think.
Right.
And
Y101
now
is
it's
still
still
there.
there. Still there. Alam niyo,
It was
well,
good.
you know,
I used to do a lot of provincial trips at that time. When I was with Wopsy, we used to do gold mine. And
Yeah, Baguio.
Oo. Tapos Bacolod, yung kanyang kwan sa Bacolod, yung
Polare.
Volare.
Yep.
Uh,
This was
And,
already in the 80s, LMY.
yeah, 80s lahat ito.
Already in the 80s. But Bacolod,
All before Euphoria.
Mhm.
the Bacolod disco scene was actually in existence as early as 76. 76, 77, you had Spectrum already. And in the convention center in Golden Fields, there was a place called N&M.
Yeah, sa Golden
Yes, I
Fields.
remember that. Yeah,
Grabe dun.
I remember. I used to go there with Manolo Lovina all the time.
Yes. This was before I even became a DJ.
Yeah.
Lord. But you know,
And they had that manok, yung ihawan na outside, yung ano? Yung
Yeah.
Manukan Country.
Manukan ka.
manukan. Oh.
Still there. It's still there.
But
George, pwede
And then
ba ako
Iloilo.
magtanong?
Iloilo also. In Sarabia Manor, I used to do
Oh.
gigs there.
Mm.
What's the name of that club of Sarabia?
oh yeah, Sarabia was a very
Mm.
grabe dun.
And then
It's,
Amigo Hotel.
Sarabia has closed down.
Really? Okay.
Sarabia Manor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had the Amigo Hotel.
Ted,
Yes. Kung pwede magtanong.
Ted,
Yes. Yung pinaka-controversial na mga eksena sa mga disco na
Oy, ang dami.
na-involve kayo.
three
Na-involve kayo. Okay, si Louie.
Yan. Si Louie may personal experience yan sa Stargazer.
Oo.
Ako may mga... Si Jessie may
Hindi
mga...
lang Stargazer.
actually North Andrew wanted to ask that question
Diba?
also.
Hindi lang na
Jessie may mga
Stargazer.
kwento sa Sandbar after disco. Ako may kwento ko sa Velvet Slum. Sa Velvet, may isang artista na... sorry. May isang artista
Velvet
na
Slum.
may na basketball player. Dumating yung kapatid.
Mhm.
Nagbunot ng baril yung kapatid.
Nung artista.
Oo, nabaril si basketball player sa puwet.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oo, pero no names ako doon ha. Hindi ko nababanggit.
Blind item.
Yan. Meron pa
Describe mo na lang
isa.
yung puwet.
Yan. Stargazer, ang pinakamadaming happening sa Euphoria. Yun ang pinakamaraming scandal. Yun ang dami doon talaga.
Yung unang was Stargazer. Okay? And you know who that was?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know who was involved there, right?
Yep.
Wait.
Yeah.
Clue.
No
Okay.
names, no names.
And then the next one was a drive-by in Euphoria was the next. Yung bata ni Bobby Aguirre,
Yep.
si Boy Garcia, wala. He hassled an Arab who was just visiting, and the Arab happened to be the chief security of the King of Saudi Arabia. And humabol si boy sa taxi. The guy left. June Santome and myself told him that this guy's a jerk. You better leave na lang, you know. So he was decent enough not to make patol. Puta, hinabol pa ng gago. He took out the gun, put it inside the cab. The Saudi guy turned the guy around, the gun, and he shot himself.
What?
Brains all over the ground, man. And magaling itong security. We only found out he was a star football player for the Saudi team. And the chief security of Saudi Arabia going on a bakasyon lang dito. I was in Davao at the time, you know, but I was monitoring everything. Then the third one was a very, very fatal shooting in V-Bar. Venezia became V-Bar. And in V-Bar, there was this night called Ebony Grooves, which was all gangster rap music, you know, so everybody was feeling gangsta, you know what I mean? So, yung mga bata na yung nakalawlaw yung mga pantalon, you know what I mean? And they picked on this guy who happened to be the boy, parang toy boy ng asawa ng isang general. So ginulpi siya. He went to the car of the general, which he was driving, and there was a gun in the car, and he used that. He went out and just started firing indiscriminately and shot 6 people. One of my DJs got shot in the ass. See Arnel?
Oh.
Okay.
And this ABS-CBN 26-year-old director from New York, ABS-CBN guy, he was killed. And ever since then, Mayor Binay said, walang parking sa harap ng Venezia, V-Bar. So that destroyed that scene, you know. Walang parking sa harap because anybody could go out and get a car and a gun in the car, you know. What a stupid excuse.
But you know what I totally enjoyed were the cat fights. I mean,
well, it started as a cat fight. It started as a cat fight.
All these cat fights, those were the most fun for me.
Pero mga balilan lang yan, ha? Pero
nakita mo how
that's not including,
you start seeing how it percolates. Why it gets to start,
not including the mga suntukan at saka rumble. Wala yun, ang dami.
Oh,
you know?
So
at least 5 or 6, at least 5 or 6 a month, you know.
Common yon, rumble.
Oh. A lot of which I was involved in also.
I remember that, Louie, ng time natin. Grabe.
Grabe.
But
you have very good security.
Si Tonet Castillejo, yung chief security ko sa Stargazer, instead of stopping fights, he used to cause most of them. Man.
Si Tonet. I remember.
Si Tonet. Tapos si Monet Ortega sa Euphoria.
Oh, si Monet. Yeah, right. You know, the nice thing about during those days, you had to know who was who during those days. Kilala mo kung sino si sino. Alam mo kung sino yung matitigas. Alam mo kung sino yung mga may hawak, may kargang baril. Alam mo kung sino yung mga yan. You know who carries. You know already who carries a firearm.
So you know the bodyguards.
Then you know the bodyguards. Now you don't know who carries. Now you don't know. So it's, I mean, after beginning of the 2000s, oh boy, you don't know who has a firearm kept somewhere or wherever. So the times were really more precarious after the 2000s. And I think the disco era was, people were more kinder. um, that was one of the things which I was able to like learn from watching the documentaries that are on YouTube. The prerequisite or the reasons for disco primarily, according to them, was America was coming out of the Vietnam War, and simply because of that, they needed to let loose and let all the vestiges of how the Vietnam War was out. Coming out of Woodstock and all that, the protest actions against the Vietnam War led them to disco. For the Philippines, it was the days of martial law. In the late 70s, curfew was lifted already.
Yeah.
In
Because Marcos
70,
lifted, diba?
76,
76 nag-lift ng curfew eh. They lifted curfew in 76.
para tayong pinakawalan nun eh.
Yes. So all
Di
the
ba?
more, young people like me, uy, pwede nang lumabas.
Oo.
Mid-teenage years. I was what?
Actually,
15, 16? Lord.
actually yun ang concept behind disco. Yung sinasabi ko kanina in Le Discothèque sa Paris, 1941, it was the hangout of the resistance movement, the
Mm.
French resistance. No, that's where they vented their ire on Germans, etc., etc. So dun pala makikita mo it was really something, a place where you get together and exchange ideas. And I agree with Louis. Sabi nga niya, it's going to be very hard in the future if you could bring those things back because ang hirap nga ngayon, walang sosyalan na eh. No?
Correct.
Ikaw nga
Oo.
makipagsayawan ng face-to-face. Hindi
Eh, lalo
pwede.
na
Tapos
magbabalag
mga face-to-face ka, may mask ka pa.
Walang
Well,
sudrat.
translated literally in French, discotheque means music room,
Yeah, music room. Oh.
and there used to be really small places. In Paris, Privé was really the best club ever. Regine's, Privé, and later on, many others came about after that. In Monaco, there was a place called Jimmy's, Jimmyz, which discotheques were really exclusive in Europe. Very few people could go in because of the size of the place. You know what I mean? I remember I was in Privé in Paris. We were regulars, Bong Dasa and myself, and we went in one night, and there were four guys with long hair sitting at our table. And so we complained to the waiter and said, "Hey, who are these guys?" You know what I mean? They said, sorry, Mr. Ysmael, we'll move them. So he moved them. They moved next to us. When we went sat down, they were the Rolling Stones. God damn, I said, shit. So, we were with two Swedish models. Sila, apat lang lalaki. So, parang yabang lang punta. Hey, thank you. Thank you. For them, bali wala, okay, no problem. So I said, told Bong, shit, we just threw the stones out of our table. Man.
We just bounced the stones.
No, but that place was frequented by so many, Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
The Princess Caroline of Monaco used to bring her boyfriends there. I mean, star-studded lahat ng mga discos, but they were small. Again, they were not big clubs like what happened later on in the 90s. I think the last ever dance club here in the Philippines was Euphoria.
Yeah, in that scale, on that
Yeah.
scale.
Of a large scale. It was the only last place with a dance floor in the middle.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
12 years it lasted.
Wow.
And then
Talaga? We
and
were
then I
12
sold it. I sold it to Mark Jimenez,
Yeah.
and then his son Marcel made it where else again.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if you remember, and that didn't last too long. And then, I had Venezia at that time, V-Bar, and EJ Litton put up Stars.
Right. And
Which
Strums
was
at the
it was more or less a dining, hanging out with music. That's what Stars was. But there was never any dance club. Wala na.
Before
Until now, right? Teka, Louis, what was the secret? Studio 54 was a humongous place. That used to be a theater, right? What was the secret of Studio 54 when every day people lined up just to be let in?
The secret was the amazing know-how of Steve Rubel
Yeah.
and Ian Schrager. These guys were, mga artiste, as they say. They were gay guys who knew the whole town. They knew the Andy Warhol. They knew, guys like Elton John,
Bianca Jagger.
Right. Bianca Jagger, and all the top models at that time. And from then on, it just snowballed, and it became the club. But everything happened there. Everything, you can name it.
The one thing that for me put 54 ahead, and to this day have that legacy, was because it was never just the music. It was never just the music. It was the people.
Culture.
It was the shows that happened inside the club spontaneously. All of a sudden, the music will stop, and in comes Grace Jones. All of a sudden, the music will stop. Here comes a parade of men dressed in Egyptian costumes, carrying someone, a bottle, a star, whatever.
One night we went home to Baby Forrest's house with Grace Jones.
What? Grace Jones?
Grace Jones, myself, and
You picked her up?
no, baby asked her to join us for an all-nighter. And you know how those all-nighters are there, man.
Oh,
New York.
More than all night.
Censored. Grabe. And that night that we were there, the guy at the door of Studio 54 who just you ikaw no you come on in. People used to arrive in limos and get rejected. Limo, ha? Tapos may isang siraulo nakabihis parang gago sa taxi, pasok.
Meron pa nagano doon nakakabayo just to get in.
Yeah, all kinds of things happen there.
All gimmicks.
I partied there with Christopher Reeve before, of course, he became a cripple. Christopher Reeve, Marisa Berenson, this very famous model.
Wow! Marisa Berenson!
Yan ang mga idol ni Boyet Sison
Crush ko yan!
Dati si Ethan Disher lang
Si Hamilton Jordan, yung Secretary of State ni Jimmy Carter. Yun. Keith Schrager, Ian Schrager, Keith Haring.
But I think it was also the drugs, the free drugs inside.
Yeah, cocaine
Well, that's
and
what I'm
stuff,
saying.
right?
I just didn't want to say anything. Man.
Yeah.
Buti ikaw nagsabi, Boyet. Hindi ako.
Dapat nga hindi disco tawag doon, dapat tawag doon powder room di ba?
Powder room.
No, just because this coke tech.
Ang nakaiba nun, ginagawa nila lahat yun sa loob with the obvious intention of being spotted and being put on the magazines.
Yeah.
Ganun yun Hindi patago sinasabi talaga.
Steve Rubel was jailed for tax evasion, okay? For 2 or 3 years. But he plea bargained because pwede siya magsumbong na si Hamilton Jordan nagkokoka siya sa office niya. So that's how he got a lesser sentence.
And because of the who Rubel and Schrager got as lawyer. Lawyer Schrager and Rubel was I forget his name now, but he was one tough MF.
Yeah,
I forget his name right now.
Jewish lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ayun na.
his name comes out in Studio 54, the movie.
Mm. Speaking of which, here in the Philippines, there are probably three discos yung ano na which are worth mentioning. Of course, Faces, no, Rumors, and there's this disco of Rene Connect, which he opened in a theater
Gaty.
also, Gaty.
Gaty.
All right.
Gaty.
So, whatever happened to Gaty? It was huge that time, right?
Well, that was his parang tried to do a Studio 54, of course.
Yes, that's right. Oh,
Because
theater and everything.
it was a theater scene,
Mhm.
and it was good for a while, but it became a little bit too rowdy, in Gaty,
Mhm.
and there's too much rampant drug taking,
Oh.
Because
like Velvet Slum.
the area also was not too conducive for the
Kalmitan.
Yeah.
more
Pilar.
upscale patrons,
Yeah.
because it was MH
Yeah,
Del
he used
Pilar.
to he used to party at Gaty and then have after parties to sa Tower Hotel sa condo niya.
Yeah. Oo.
Correct. Correct.
Sayang yun. It was a huge disco. My
Ang tagal
only
niya worn down na lugar.
my only
That
memory
was
of
owned
Gaty
by-
Theater.
That's owned by the family of the Tower. What was that? Very old Filipino family.
Mhm. My
Well,
my
Uh,
my uncle used to manage Tower Hotel, Dading Kuna. He used to be the manager there. Yeah.
yeah.
Where do you guys, for all that Gaty and all that, we have to mention Coco.
Coco Banana, of
Coco
course.
Banana.
Oh,
Coco Banana. I mean, really was the epicenter of how, admit it or not, of how the gay community really embraced disco. It was really the
Grabe.
gay community that really embraced and spread the gospel of disco. Not only in New York but worldwide. They were they were really the prime movers of this. It was very evident in the early music. The lyrics are very suggestive, which led to, like, even I think between Gaty and Coco, Coco did not pretend or did not try to emulate 54. It was Coco.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
if you compare Coco with the other discos, it looks like a dump. But
Yes.
the people just came
Wow.
in. They wanted to get in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It was a bohemian atmosphere,
Mhm.
and very, very gay club. It was a very gay
Yeah.
club,
Mhm.
and my mother used to go there, and because all her
But
friends
the
were
street-
gay.
Yeah, but the streets were never really turned off by it being a gay club. They
It was
wanted
a
to be
fun.
there.
It was a
Straight-
fun club. Yeah.
My God, I remember going there so many times with sila Wolfie beer line.
Yep. Cristina Valdez, Wolfie.
Yeah, Wolfie, Christina, Mary Lou Prieto, and
One of the
boy,
claims to fame of Coco was that Sean Connery, when he goes to Asia, does not go night clubbing. And he did in Coco.
But he also
Ernest Santiago
also-
has a picture of him with Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. I remember he went discoing in Malacanang, and I had to spin all the way up to 7:30 in the morning. Ang taas na ng araw eh. Because Sean Connery didn't want to leave.
Kasi hindi mo naman nakita yung araw sa babae sa disco, di ba?
ako naman in-entertain ko si Lee Majors at saka si Jim
Para
Brown.
kasi-
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
Oh,
Wow.
Jim Brown, Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah.
Then she left. She left Lee Majors there. He had pictures in MacArthur Suite all over his room. Puta, free base kami din si Lee Majors. Yeah. He'd call me up. He'd call me up, and he knew B-Boy's number. He'd call B-Boy, say, "Hey, where's Action?" Who's action? Action Louie.
So na-bionic ka.
So I visited him in. Oh yeah, he was. Pero medyo fighting sila ni Farrah Fawcett. So I went to Beverly Hills and paid him a visit, and we went out a couple of times, you know. And Jim Brown also, MacArthur Suite, ganun din. But,
Saya.
Guy must be enormous, si Jim Brown.
Saya. Not so much.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, hello to Dickie Tan.
Uy, Benedict!
Hello, Dickie.
And Paul Rino. Hello.
And Paul Rino, right.
Paul Alejandrino.
Oh.
And
He says,
Hannah Esquerra, Angel Caneda rin. Hello.
Ellen Esguerra? Did you say Ellen Esguerra?
No, Henner, ikaw
Henner.
naman.
Yung Ellen Esguerra, iba yun eh.
So, siya yung may Farrah Fawcett na buhok dati, di ba? Alam ni Teddy yun.
Alam ni Teddy yan. Ellen Esguerra, mga...
Tapos sa Euphoria, Marvin Hagler.
Oh, Marvin Hagler.
Wow, ang laki nun.
Euphoria na yun.
Hindi, gusto
Middleweight yun.
si Iking Araneta, sabi niya, puta dito, suntukan kami, sabi ni Iking. Sabi ko, please, Iking, pare, puta yun. I don't wanna carry you out of here, pare. Si Iking. Sabihin mo, one-on-one, square. Sabi ko, puta, square. Puta yun na, pare. Have a drink and go home. I said. Kasama, they were making a movie with Christopher Penn, the brother of Sean Penn. No? Chris Penn.
They were shooting up north.
That guy passed away also. Anyway, see, Chris Penn was harassing people there in the club and making pastus to girls. So, sinumbong ko kay Marvin. I said, this guy, he said, hey, Chris, come here. Sabi niya, this is my man Louie here. You don't fuck around in this club, right? Now turn that cap upside down. Yung cap niya, nakabaliktad yung baseball cap niya. Turn that cap around, man. Yes, boss. Oh, takot siya kay Marvin.
Marvin Hagler ba naman eh?
There's another really good story that I would like to share because this involves two clubs. If you, for you baby boomers, let's remember Dan Stever, Deniterio.
Deniterio, right.
Deniterio. Deniterio was invited by Tito Alberto and the guys at Q to perform in Q. So it was a 2-night performance for Deniterio. He was billeted at the Regent of Manila.
Regent of Manila, right.
Where where Q was. He was at the basement. At the mezzanine, at the lobby floor was where Alibi Bar was, where Cool Desma and the Music and Magic were holding court. So at that time, ang galaw ng tao, punta ka ng Alibi, baba ka ng Q.
Dapat after Q, may masahiyan.
After midnight, punta ng Stargazer.
Hindi, may massage sa tabi ng Q.
Oh, tama.
Masahe.
Katabi ng opisina ni Sito yun eh.
No, but the story is this. So, Deniterio had a 2-night gig in Q. So his show ends at around 1 o'clock in the morning. He's done by 1 a.m. You know what he would do? He would go to Stargazer.
Yep.
At 1 o'clock.
That's
1
right.
o'clock, 1:30. He will do his after party there.
That's right.
And that would last till about 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
That would last. Imagine Deniterio, and he would dance around.
He had a Filipina girl in his dance troupe.
Yeah, eventually he had one in the latter years.
Yeah, she was really pretty.
Fever, yeah. Yung mulata na half Filipino, half Italian, half Filipina. And Deniterio would light up a joint on the dance floor of Stargazer. And guess who would smell it? We would, because we were right in front of the dancer, and we would motion to Louie, boss, sumisindi.
Okay lang.
And that's
Boyet,
how he would react.
You smell it or you take a talk?
Ano, can take a talk working eh. Can take a talk DJing eh. Di ba? Di ba
But
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to
playing
go.
hot lunch, playing Hot Lunch Jam. Remember that song? Hot
yeah,
Lunch Jam.
hot
Yeah.
lunch jam.
Guys, I'm gonna have to go.
Louis, thank you for the stories,
it
Thanks,
boy,
boss.
and anecdotes and
it was.
everything. Very nice.
Thank you so much. It was so nice hanging with you guys.
We had so much fun.
I've got other things that I gotta do now. Huh?
Yeah.
Hindi na,
And you have a
hindi na
barbecue.
ako disco king.
You have a barbecue party.
Yeah, later on pa. Then I have
Uh-huh.
to have a test first, a swab, you know. So,
Oh.
you know,
All right.
Yeah.
Have fun.
we'll
And
see
have
you
a great
guys
weekend. Thank
next
you.
time.
Thank you, Louie.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Jesse.
Bye, Louie.
Alam mo, Jessie.
Si Jessie na lutuin natin. Si Jessie, kanina pa tahimik to eh. Oh. Ang dami nga nagsasabi. Jessie is a very low-key person, but he's probably responsible for, 60% of the successful DJs in the Philippines. Jessie, what made you do that? Bakit mapagkawang gawa ka?
Klaro mo talaga. Choppy yung audio ko talaga eh. Hindi ko gano'ng mawatasan.
Boyet, translate.
60% ng successful DJ sa Pilipinas ay kagagawan mo daw. Bakit
Bakit?
napakapagkawang gawa mo? Bakit?
Anong problema mo sa buhay?
It's just being natural. Ganun lang. Friendly ako as a DJ, kaya parang I want to give out more na maging maunlad ang DJ industry sa Pilipinas.
Very
We're
nice,
doing
yeah.
DMC. We're doing DMC as part ng legacy lang namin in the Boyet. We don't make money here in DMC. We put up a DJ school with Boyet, the DJ Academy of the Philippines. We didn't earn much money hanggang nasarado na namin because of pandemic. But it took so long, almost more than 10 years. We are in partnership with States Club International under the mentorship of
talaga?
DJ Sunny Abado Master Plan.
Oo.
But we gone a long way. Ang dami naming graduates yan. Alam ni Boyet yan. Iba, mga celebrities. Di ko na i-mention.
Oo.
Mga models. At
Diba,
madami mga successful DJs na working abroad. DJ Academy of the Philippines.
Madami nag-abroad.
So masyado kong
Marami.
attached sa mga
Madami.
DJs.
Nakakatuwa eh paano when I got when I got Jessie sa XB that time. After a few months I left already. I left for RT, no? Tapos Jessie ang nagmana nung mga iniwan ko sa XB. Little did I know na i-continue niya, and as a matter of fact, he made it even double, triple successful when he took over, no? Yung talagang I was amazed, sabi ko, grabe to si Jessie, no? Yung may iniwanan ka and then pinalago pa. And Jessie, I'm really very grateful that you happened, that I met you. Paano, yun na nga yung without you, I guess hindi matutuloy yung Magic Disco, yung XB 102,
Yun.
no? Yung
It's time to boogie, George.
di ba?
But it's time to
Actually,
boogie,
after
hindi na
ng time
natutuloy.
natin, George, I've gone a lot of hardships in maintaining XB 102 until 1987 that it was
Oh.
sequestered by
Oh.
the Philippine government. You know naman the story behind. Right
Yeah.
after ng NCCP at the Philippine Christian University in Taft
Oh.
Avenue, it
You
was
went to
sold to
Donata,
another
diba?
entity, which is the Universal Broadcasting Corporation, and we move into another venue, which is in Dunada in
Right.
Pasay near the Rizal Memorial Coliseum. We're still operating on that low kilowatt power, which is 1
5K.
kilowatt.
One na lang
Remember
kayo
that?
nun.
Kung pinakamahina ang XB 102 in all FM stations during the time.
At saka
But
yung tower,
we
yung
managed
tower ng
to
XP, mas
made a
mababa pa
name.
sa Philippine Women's University eh. Ganun kababa yung tower natin, no? Remember? But, yun na nga eh.
So
no?
when we move into another venue, they gave me the position of being the station manager OIC. And then sabi sa akin ng aking boss, si Rolly Chowa, sige, maintain mo muna, alis ka na muna dyan sa disco, pasay na yan. Sabi ko, sige, sinusunod ko lang naman, sila yung mga paymasters eh. So, tumakbo kami ng 2 years as, ano lang, pop station lang, we call it Cute 102.
Yeah, right.
But nakita nila, walang improvement, walang buyers, hindi lang mabenta sa ahensya. And I said, I approached him once again. Sabi ko, boss, I have an idea. Kasi ilang beses din ako nag-travel and I think we cannot fight with other bigger stations na malalakas ang power. I have another idea of make it something different. Then doon ako nasinimulan to introduce the new wave music. Dahan-dahan lang. So until it became a byword in the community, until we folded up because of the sequestration problem.
But you
So
know,
hanggang
actually,
ngayon,
until now eh. May Facebook
ngayon.
page.
Meron pa. May cult
Wala.
following. Hanggang ngayon.
Yun yung XB102. Diba?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pero alam mo, balikan ko yung Magic Disco, Jessie, yung panahon na yan. Gusto kong kopyahin yun eh, tinetape ko, yung gano'n. Kaya lang dahil nga sa signal niya, para ka nasa tabing dagat, meron hindi mo rin mapatugtog pagkatapos.
Hindi, tsaka
Wala.
Jessie, remember, Magic Disco tayo. I think we were the first na nagmi-mix on air live eh, no?
Correct.
Believe it or not, ang turntables namin noon, walang
I'm
pitch
the
control.
only one who does real mixing talaga ng time na yun.
Walang pitch control.
Very active ako sa live mixing.
Panalo noon eh.
You know naman our turntable in the station, walang pitch control.
Yung lengko na walang pitch control.
Yung palanggana, yung malaki.
Yung palanggana, yung batya.
Tapos straight yung tone arm, 'di ba? Diretso yung tone arm. Tapos tapos ano yung board nyo dati?
Wala, yung homemade.
Homemade?
Actually,
hindi pa yung Garard na
Hindi, homemade ganyan. Dalawa lang ang output noon, no? And then
Rotary.
Rotary lang. And then yung commercial sa labas sa technician, open reel. Ang problema ng open reel deck namin, puro mono. Ampex mono. Stereo FM, di ba? Alam mo ginawa ng technician, si Tamundong. Remember Tamundong, Jessie?
Engineer Tamundong.
Ang ginawa.
Joe Tamundong.
Si Joe. Kinumbine yung dalawang I don't know how he did it, yung dalawang amplifier ng dalawang tape deck. Kinumbine niya, ginawa niya stereo.
Wah!
Linagay niya sa isang makina. So nag-stereo. But that was how it was before. The tower of XB.
Genius ang guy na yon.
The tower of XB was even lower than the building of Philippine Women's University beside us. Yun ang nun eh. Tapos hindi ba yung air conditioning natin doon, yung malaki-malaki? Yung papatong mo yung baso mo, malalamig yung tubig.
Ang lamig nun. Grabe. Oo.
Ang lamig nun.
Tapos
But
ito na, dadating na yung janitor, maglilinis sa umaga, abaka yung carpet. Ang panlinis niya, walis tingting. So you can just imagine lahat ng likabok umiikot ganyan.
Umiikot.
Those were the
Lagi
days.
may asphalt.
You know,
Teka,
the Magic XB days for me, like Bob, kami yung mga, kailangan ko maalala kung ano yung mix niyan. Ano yung sinunod niya dyan?
Ite-tape ko yan.
Yun ang mga
Tama.
Well, Triggerman started out in XB also. I also got him in sa XB. No, he was still a student that time, and look where Triggerman is now, no? So maganda naman yung track record ng XB kahit papaano, Jess, no? Yung natin dati, yung sinimulan
Hanggang
natin.
ngayon nga may following pa di ba sa online.
Yun ang eh. Anyway, Jess, let me ask you, what was your first disco when you got into the disco business na?
The first disco na, my first gig.
Yung hinawakan.
Madami. Pero let me tell you the story. After nang matapos ko ng training ko sa URL, sa Intercon, tinanggap ako ni Sunny Tanchanco Yung unang on disco along Dewey Boulevard pa noon.
Yeah, on, no? Alam ko pa yan.
Yeah, tatlo kami. Ako ang early slot. Followed by Jeline Eugenio, the choreographer. DJ yan.
Oo.
Kasi boyfriend ni Jeline, yung kapatid ni Sunny Tanchanco.
Tommy.
And then yung pang prime time namin, si anak ni Leroy Salvador. Si Boy Salvador, nakatira sa Santa Ana sa may Carrenahan. So, I can't forget that. Ang talent fee ko noon, 8 pesos. 8 pesos a day. Plus free meal. Ang meal, galunggong or with munggo. Katalo na yun. Hindi ko malimutan yun. Then, after that, siguro, by experience, nag-move out ako to some other places na may mga offer sa akin na much bigger. Hindi sila kilala, mga walang pangalan. But I'm making good money by the time. And then after that was in Santa Cruz. Hindi ko kinakahiya yun. But I'm making a good living by working in the radio daytime, then working on disco club sa gabi.
Santa
Then
Cruz.
suddenly, I've met Jimmy Hill. Jimmy Hill of GMA7. Si Ka Jimmy. I'm sure you know that. The broadcaster.
Oo.
Siya
Tigme.
ang head DJ ng Club Valentino and Midtown Ramada. So,
Midtown, no? Midtown.
DJ yan si Jimmy Hill bago nag-radio yan. Oo. Club DJ yan. Magaling na DJ yan. So,
ano yung Club Valentino, mga kaibigan, ang Club Valentino po, yun lang po ang disco na gumaya ng dance floor ng pelikulang Saturday Night Fever.
Yung may ilaw sa ilalim.
May ilaw sa baba.
Ilaw yung dance floor.
Yung Malacanang disco ko, ganun. May ilaw sa ilalim. Yun.
Pero
Anyway,
hindi public.
actually, kami ata ang sumunod sa sound out eh. Si Jimmy nakakuha ng kontrata ng DJ after nang nag-lapse na yung contract ng Sound Out Philippines. So kina Marlin, yung UK group. Then, inanap ako ni Jimmy, sabi niya, I need someone na talagang pang prime time. Para naman ako nag-ano na lang dito. So nagsama kami ni Ka Jimmy, naka 1 year mahigit din ako doon. Then suddenly, I received another offer from the neighbor building, which the Midland Plaza. Pinuntahan ako ni Mr. Bautista, the owner of Sunbar Afro. And then another tempting offer. So sabi ko, Ka Jimmy, I need to move on. Alam mo naman na kailangan na maghanap buhay tayo eh. So pinayagan niya ako. So yun, nahawakan ko yung Sunbar Afro Disco for many years. Na the most sikat, maliit man ang kanina, binenso ni Boyet eh. Because Sunbar Afro made a name. Isa lang ang pwede kong sabihin because i-attribute ko yung success nun, yun ang bahay ni Dolphy, the late Dolphy.
Mismo.
Tambayan ng mga, hindi na yung mga artista. Pag nandun si Dolphy araw-araw, pag wala siyang shooting, dagsaan na yung mga, pati mga babae, lahat, everything. So halos gabi-gabi puno kami, inaabot kami hanggang alas 5 ng umaga. I usually spend for 4 to 5 hours the time. Ganong katagal ang trabaho. Pero okay naman. Masaya ako. Masaya yung boss ko. Masaya yung public ko doon. So yun ang story until nag-expat na ako ng DJ services.
Tsaka may disco on
Again,
fire.
Boyet?
Di ba kasi may disco on fire?
Yun.
Di ba? Yun yung ano ko eh.
Teka, nawala.
Disco on fire.
Disco on fire.
Nawala, natabig ko yung ano. well, yung malaking utang na loob ko din sa XB 102. Yung Disco on Fire na yan, na pinagbigyan din ako ni Zero Song, yung boss natin dati, George. Sabi niya, gawa ka pa ng isang program na talagang non-stop. Oo. So, nung time na yun, wala pa naman tayong pag nag-live ka, phone pots lang. So, mono. So, kinukuha na kami ng mga bonanza, ng mga ganun. Live yun, ha? Ako yung live mixing noon. So, it made waves. Lumaki yung...
Bonanza si Bobby.
So, through Disco on Fire, nanganak yung mga outlets ko. I got Westin Philippine Plaza, the Los Horizon, na-sign up ko yan. DJ services and technical. Kasi pag kumuha ako ng services ng DJ, kinasama ko kasi may technical force ako noon. Repair, lahat maintenance. Then Altitude 49.
Yan, sa
Madami
garden.
pa.
Yeah.
I did also a gimmick in Max's Fried Chicken restaurants. We call it Max's Super Sounds. naglagay ako ng DJ. Ano lang, request and dedication lang. And my DJs are happy because bago sila umuwi, yung talent fee nila, mas malaki pa yung tip sa talent fee nila. 3 outlet yun. One, Max's in Baclaran, Max's in Butesco, Max's in Cubao. So nagsunod-sunod na yung mga nagsunod-sunod na yung mga outlets ko. Oo. Until dumating yung 90 na nakuha ko naman ang franchise ng DMC.
Hi, Howard.
Talagang
Hello.
trabaho lang talaga. During the 80s and 90s, puro trabaho talaga. Kaya alam ni Boyet, si Boyet ng saksi, kasama ko yun ang bumabiyahe kami ng London, kung saan-saan.
Ayun.
So,
And si Long Tol Howard sabi, kumusta daw? Buhay niya noong 70s, nasa Bonanza at saka Yungib ng Makati Hotel. Lalo yung Yungib.
Sedsa.
Bonanza.
Yes.
Sabi ko na sir yun.
Ha?
Di ba si Bambi nasa
Bonanza, sana yan sa
Bambi,
along EDSA,
si
sa ano,
Howard.
si
Yes,
sa Quezon City.
Papunta ka ng
Katabi ng in distance ng mother's womb ba?
Oh,
Isang
Mother's.
distance.
Mothers.
Ano yan eh?
Actually,
Yan yung original
ang
lechong baka.
Yun, Bonanza.
ang
Yes!
disco scene,
Alam na namin, George.
buhay.
Yan ang pinakasikat sa lechong baka noon. Oo.
Bonanza.
Oo.
At saka yung unang-unang outlet ng Kentucky Fried Chicken pa noon.
KFC.
Ang tawag pa nga dati doon Kentucky Fried Chicken, doon sa Bonanza.
Kentucky.
Yun.
Yung mga disco sa Quezon City, banggitin lang natin. Ano? Mothers.
Mothers.
Bonanza. May katabi yung Mothers eh.
Yung
Di ba? May katabi yung Mothers, George. Kalimutan ko lang yung pangalan ngayon. Tumatama ni senior moment. Doon tumatama
Kasama ba natin, Boyet, yung ano? Kasama ba natin yung Alibambang?
So far sa QC, nung time na yon, Bonanza lang at saka Mother's Womb lang ang talagang, kumbaga medyo, yung medyo klase ng content.
Yung disco. Yun yung disco.
Yung disco talaga.
Yung dance hall
You mentioned
na
Yungib.
inom ka. Sayo.
Hindi ko
Yungib.
I forgot the name of the lady DJ sa Yungib dati, sa may Makati. I forgot the name.
Aida.
Sa may, ngayon,
Alam ni Boyet.
Aida ba yun? Yung Yungib, ngayon, MMDA building na yun.
Naging shota ni Eric Kane yun.
Si Aida nga yata.
Aida yun. Kasi doon sinuting
Grabe
yung
pag
doon sinuting yung pelikula ni Vilma Santos at saka ni Romeo Vasquez kasama ang BST na anong pelikula yun?
Swing It Baby.
Baby.
Yun, tama, Boyet?
Sa Yungib yun. That was shot
Yun,
inside
Yungib.
Yungib.
yung ano.
Yung
Pasensya na kayo.
Romeo Vasquez, Vilma Santos, and the first movie appearance of Mike Montserrat.
Yun.
Yep. Swing It
Pasensya
Baby.
Yes.
Pasensya
yun?
na kayo. Nawala yung ISP.
Disco
Bonanza
Fever
ko.
ba yun?
Swing It Baby ata.
Swing It Baby. Ganon.
Yung Disco Fever, ang kasama yata niya doon si hindi nagbe-brief, si Junior ba? Parang yung Kastila na singer.
Disco
Si
Fever.
Junior.
Ay, but if you leave me.
Yung.
Ako ay nagalik.
Yan.
Tayo.
Si Howard pala nagtayo nung dalawa, yung Bonanza at Yungib.
Oo.
Wow.
Yun ang ano doon eh.
Original name yata ni Howard doon, Langib.
Oo. Hindi, tsaka si
Boy,
Howard.
ano na yung Makati Hotel ngayon? Ano na yung place?
MMDA.
MMDA. Oo, tama, MMDA.
Yun.
Ay.
Tambayan ng tatay ko dati.
Makati Hotel tapos MMDA. Ang laki ng binaba.
Oo nga eh. Grabe yun.
Talaga.
Pero
Hanggang down in the dumps.
meron pa mga ibang lugar sa Makati. Okay, nabanggit na natin ng QC.
Yeah.
Meron ka pang doubles.
Doubles disco, yes. No?
Yes.
Oo.
Doubles ka pa. Nagsaksakan ng liit. Wala pa siguro 100 ng pwedeng kasya doon. Doubles.
Hindi,
Remember yung doubles, Boyet? Pwede kang bumaba doon sa parang butas na gano'n,
May
how do you
slide.
call that kind of, yung doubles? Sa may
Hindi,
baba ng Another World.
Another World yun, yung may slide.
Hindi. Doubles
Doubles
ang
ba
may
yun?
slide.
Doubles ang may
Ah.
slide, yeah. Doubles ang may
Oo.
slide.
Another world, yung may saksakan ng haba at tirik nung staircase.
Oo. Tapos ano,
Aakyat ka muna sa tabi bago ka makababa na
Oo.
naman.
hindi, at saka sa Another World, maganda doon, galing nung tatay ni Wopsy. Tatay ni Wopsy may ari na si Arturo Zamora, yung partner ni
Oo.
Chito Feliciano. Anyway,
Mismo.
uupo ka, sofa, no? Booth.
Mismo.
May kurtina, pwede mo isara. Tapos
Yeah.
madilim.
Ay, Diyos ko. ang sarap.
Ginawa
Ang
sa
beer,
na.
5 piso. Ang beer, 5 piso ang beer. 10 piso, 5 piso. Ang entrance fee sa where else, 10.
Oh.
Oy, meron pa isa. Teka muna.
Sige.
La Cueva.
La Cueva,
My
oo.
God, La Cueva.
Kaya lang ang pinakamalaking disco na puntahan ko, yung Delirium. Saksakan
Ay,
ng laki
malaking
yan eh.
dinilyo.
Si Rafi
Kanina
Rios yung DJ.
Greenbelt yun, George.
Sa Greenbelt.
Green Bell.
Diba,
I
Ano yun
remember
eh,
the
complex
time,
yun eh.
doon nagsisimula ang Family Bird Control sa Delirium.
Bago nag-Manila
Alternate
Hotel.
ng banda at saka DJ nun.
Oo. Si Rafi Rios yung DJ nun eh. Yung sa Delirium eh.
Hmm.
Yun.
yung nasa Pasay Road na, Equinox ba yun? Boyet?
Equinox.
Equinox. Before it became Equinox, it was first called as Cocoon, which was also a brainchild of, which was the brainchild actually of Buji Layug, otherwise known as Bujiwara. The claim to fame of Cocoon was it had a mother of pearl dance floor.
Wow. Ayun.
Mahal.
Completely mother of pearl in dance floor.
Ibahin mo na si Buji.
Yes.
No?
And then it was in existence for about 4 years at the most. After that, they gave it up. It became Equinox. And then
Alex Lina
took over.
Yeah.
Alam mo na
Pero
namimiss.
grabing
Oy, Manny Cinco. Manny Cinco, good morning
Wopsy
to
daw,
you.
gusto pumasok.
Wopsy, of course. Nandiyan na?
I'm waiting for him to show up dito. Hindi ko pa nakikita.
Manny Cinco, we used to play together. He was the bass player of Balahibo. No?
Balahibo pa.
Din yan. Oo. Okay din yan. No? Ang Boomers had the quad sound system from Germany. Bonanza pala. Yungib had 3 dance floors. The main floor was made of stainless steel. And we had 2 small satellite dance floors in the back. Ayun.
Si Howard pala nag-setup nun eh.
Yung satellite dance floor daw sa likod, bathroom tiles na lang yung sahig nun.
One of the clubs that also had a satellite dance floor was Where Else.
Yeah, where else?
The
Sa taas.
original layout of Where Else had a half dance floor on the second floor.
Yeah, dun sa mezzanine. Tapos circular dance floor at the ground floor.
The octagon, the octagon dance
Octagon
floor.
pala, oo. No? Si Eric Edralin yung namamayagpag dati dun eh.
Yeah.
Yo.
And Another World and Where Else were the locales for Penthouse 7.
Yep.
They would
Yep.
shoot episodes of Penthouse 7 in both Another World and in Where Else.
Yeah.
Yun ang mga ano nun.
Ito maganda, no? An anecdote lang. Rumors. I'm sure everybody knows Rumors, no? Malaking
Of course.
disco rin yan. And DJ's booth, 3 turntables. Kasama ko si John
Mismo.
Robinson pa noon eh. No?
Ah.
Yung New York, Rio, Tokyo na intro, siguro pinatagal niya na 15 minutes.
Mismo.
Paulit-ulit lang, no? Anyway, sa harap mismo ng DJ's booth, puro subwoofer. Okay? Tapos dance floor na. May isang grupo, nandun lang sa harap ng DJ's booth. Kala namin, fans namin, nandun eh, sa harap na harap.
Harapan eh.
Kaya lang lahat ng kamay nila nandun sa woofer. Mga ano pala, mga disabled, mga bingi. They were dancing to the beat, to the vibration of the subwoofer.
Of the subwoofers.
Ang
Wow!
galing, oh. That was the first time I ever saw that. Ang galing. Ayun. Nung sinabi ko
Wow.
kay John, wow. Ayun.
Pero well, as far as sound systems are concerned, during that late 70s era, early
Uy,
80s.
si John Tupas nanonood, oh.
Hi, John.
Oh, palat! Ano yan, nagsimula yan mag-DJ Quezon City. But anyway, we'll get to that later. The sound systems of that era remember, mid-70s, wala pa yung mga 18-incher na woofers nun eh. Wala pa.
Oo.
Wala pang 18 inchers. And here comes Q.
Mm.
Marisolis at the helm of the technical, installing a
Selwyn Vega.
sound system that was
Sound
Serwin
sweep.
Vega. Sound sweep.
ba yan? Sound sweep.
Serwin
Sound
Vega.
sweep.
Serwin Vega
Woofers.
subwoofers.
Ah.
And Bose 802 mid-high speakers na naka-array. 4 on each corner na Bose 802.
First
Tapos
time nagkaroon
dalawa-
ng array dun eh.
Oo. Grabe yun. Grabe yun.
Lumilindol yung dance floor.
Ay,
Lumilindol talaga.
Mariosep.
Diba?
Mariosep ang tunog nun. Sabi ng mga matatanda, yung mga nasa mga 50 na pataas, nagpupunta ng queue, ayoko, atakin ako sa puso sa lakas ng bass.
Anak, pakihinaan naman yan.
And then everybody else follow.
The best sound system sa disco nakita ko. Q Disco. Marisolis.
Oo.
I agree. To this day, I still love that sound.
Malinis eh, no? Malinis yung
Ay.
tunog niya eh.
I don't know why. Well, maybe because of other considerations. The rooms are bigger, but the combination of the Serwin Vega subwoofers and the 802s for the music at that time was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Remember, in the 70s, very prominent ang high frequencies tsaka mid-range. Dahil very vocal ang tugtog eh. A lot of vocals, a lot of strings, a lot of orchestration. So yun yung predominant instrumentation na nako-consume ng tao. Wala pa yung
Ito favor sa equalization.
wala pa yung thump ng kick. Wala pa yung thump ng kick.
Wala pa yung tugs.
Wala pa yung
Tugs. Wala pa yun.
Wala pa yan. So, the considerations for tuning the sound systems at that time were for that. It was more clarity. It was clear. It was grand. The sound was grand. Not loud. It was grand. Grandioso yung tunog.
And
Well-
you know, who the better to talk about technical and the grand sounds
Yeah.
than Wopsy Zamora. Wopsy, good morning.
Hello, guys.
Welcome.
May,
Sorry, I
may,
can't.
may compadre Wopsy.
Kita ba ako dyan? Kita ko. Ngayon ko lang ginamit itong link na ito. It's the first time I've used this link. I
Yeah,
usually use Zoom and the team, no?
yeah, This
Louie
is a
had
very
to give me
good...
the link. Where is Louie? He gave me the Where's
Louie left already.
Oh, he left already.
Yeah, right.
Okay. How can
Anyway,
I contribute?
Wopsy, we were talking about sound audio quality in discos and whatever. You are the person qualified to talk about this. You're the authority when it comes to technical stuff. Tell us how, like si Jessie sabi niya, the best sound system he's ever heard
Jessie, magaling yan.
was in Q Disco. No? What would you attribute that to?
I'm sorry, what would I attribute with what? I'm sorry.
The quality of the sound system of Q Disco. Like for you as a technical consultant and whatever supplier, what would you recommend to somebody who wants to put up a club or whatever as far as sound system is concerned? What are your main considerations?
Well, nowadays we have new technology already, no? Everything is digital already. Unlike during our days in the 80s, it was all analog, no? So if anybody's putting up a sound system, well, it really won't matter now whether it's digital or analog, because we use the digital audio only for big installations, no? Like the SEA Games, no? Where we had to integrate 46 venues all over Luzon, no? But in a club, I think, Jessie, you can exchange ideas with me here. We can still use the good old analog, right? Huh?
Yes, compadre.
Until now.
Analog sounds better. It's crispier. It's exactly the same, as it was before, except that with the only digital portion of the audio now is the player. Whereas during our times, we used the analogs, which were the discs, no? The wax. How do you call that, Jessie?
The vinyl.
Vinyl, yeah. Now it's all digital. It's either in the form of hard. They're all in hard disks now. Now the sound system really now, I cannot specify any brand, but during my days in Stargazer, Faces, etc. We were using the JBL brand, no? And also the Serwin Vega. These were the two most popular brands during my time. But now you can, you can even have your own sound system in your house. There's so many projects from China now. So George, what's the question again? What would I recommend? What sound system? All you have to do is pick up your internet, and you can. I can give you the names of the dealers now. No? We carry. Of course, I carry in the Sea Games. We use the crispiest and non-commercial sound system is it's Outline. No? It's called Outline of Italy. No? We use that in all our installations, like Sea Games, El Shaddai, and all this outdoor, because they're specialists outdoor. Now for indoor, in Okada, I use the Function One,
Wow.
and Mayor. But these are very pricey. You know. It depends now what kind of a club and what's the size of the club. If it's a small club, you can use. There's so many in the market. You can use QSC, huh? And Bose. You can use Bose, no? Whenever we enter this kind of market, I have to buy it from my friendly competitors, no? Because that us AVL people, Jessie would know this, are all friendly competition, no? So you're talking only of sounds, George. What about lighting? Did you
Lighting
ask
and
me for lighting
everything.
or sound? Okay.
Yeah, lighting and sound.
Lighting. Well, I hope it answers the question. That the audio will really depend. There are about so many branches now. So many. No. Now going to lighting, we will the one in Okada. We did the Okada disco. No, it was really a very
That's
expensive
incredible.
installation.
Oh, that's incredible.
It's a very expensive installation. The installation there cost about 80 million. No? So
Wow.
that's really big. Yeah. In fact, the whole budget for the Okada was about 1.5 billion for the sounds and lights. Now, B. In our market, we call it the, ano ba tawag dito? Yung M would be, all these people now who do business, they, baka. Pag sinabing baka, billion.
Billion
Pag sinabing manok, millions. So, yung baka ko na installation lang yung Okada, kasi kasama yung buong, kasama yung buong net, hindi lang yung disco eh. So video projection mapping is good for always a bit pricey. LED, Boyet knows this. No? Boyet and I work together sometimes because of First Audio. So on the show lights, I would recommend the disco, the club to use brands made in China. Because the brands made in China are as good as the ones made in Europe and the States already. That's what we also use. No? For LED screen, also China. You cannot beat China because China's quality already and very inexpensive, very inexpensive, very affordable prices. It really would depend who the disco is, because it's Ramon Ang or I don't know. I cannot name names, but it really depends on the owner of the disco and the objective. It's market objective. The market is trying to reach, right? And of course the location, no? Where the club is, no? That's all I can say, no? And even LED screens now are penny stocks already. They're a dime a dozen now, because most of the DJ booths now have a LED display behind. No? We've done quite a few of this. So I would recommend that on audio, for the hardware, for the amplifiers and speakers, you use analog. For the media player, you use either USB or CD. Yung Pioneer
CDJs.
Controller tawag din eh.
Controller. Ang tawag doon Serato or Tractor, no? Serato Tractor.
That's the software.
Yeah, there's the media player also is included, no? In Okada, they use the Serato.
Well,
And
that's the
Serato
software,
has-
Pops. The Serato is the
Sorry?
software.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
hardware
that's
The thing that powers.
Pioneering
The
The hardware is
hardware.
pioneer. Yeah, I agree. That's right. Ito si Boyet talagang magaling ito. Ha?
Oh.
Hindi, matanda lang ako.
Kakain niya itinda lahat yan eh.
Oh.
Boyet, ano ka ba? 50 ka na? Boyet, 50 ka na ba? Ako
Boss,
Masyado mo
76
naman
na.
pinapabata si Boyet.
ako
I'm
sa
already
grupo
76.
na to, ako siguro pinakabata. I'm turning 58 this year.
Talaga?
Hindi naman si Bob looks young, Teddy looks young.
58.
Compadre Jessie, late, ano ka ba, compadre? 60s, no?
Well, salamat Wopsy, but I am a year older than Boyet, so ayan. He just looks 10 years older.
Oh.
I love you, Bob.
Thank you, pare.
Wala,
But-
si George, sorry.
Sige. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, wala pala si Marit si Louie ngayon. Ha?
Yeah, well, Louie was here earlier. Mari is in a beach. No, sabi niya if he has a good internet connection, he's gonna come in. Apparently, wala siya makuhang connection. Sa tali yata siya pupunta eh. Sa tali medyo mahina. Medyo mahina eh. Oh, ganon. Kaya let me digress a bit, Wopsy, because this
Okay,
really
yeah.
picked my interest. When you did the San Juanico Bridge, no, this is not a
Yeah.
disco. Kaya that was an incredible feat that you did, no. What was it all about? Can you tell us all about that?
It's all digital.
Uh-huh.
It's done by a controller. Lighting controllers during our days with Boyet and Jessie, they were all analog, no? Yung
Yeah.
touch screen, no? But this one is all, you have to work through a matrix here, a digital matrix, no? The programming is done by a software, as Boyet would call it. And what was the question again? What technology did I use?
Yeah, and how massive how massive is it, and how long did it take you to finish the job? Wopsy lit up the whole San Juanico Bridge, and that is
Yeah.
the longest bridge in the Philippines.
It's 2.3 kilometers.
You know,
And
inilawan.
it took us about 8 months to finish it. 8 months.
Uh-huh.
So
And you used LED lights for
massive.
that, or neon?
Yes, they're all LED lights. They're all LED.
Uh-huh.
They're all strip lights, wash lights, and strobe lights. Even strobe lights now are LED. So it's a massive installation. And the bridge is 2.3 kilometers long. And this is the idea behind the San Juanico Bridge. No? There is what you call the default position. The default position are the lights sparkling like diamonds in the middle of the sea.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not to distract the traffic, no, and the vehicles, no. It's called the default position. It looks like a piece of diamond in the middle of the sea. And then that's for 45 minutes. But for 15 minutes, we go into the show, no, entertainment lighting, where we feature a light show. Light shows now are they're very popular now. No, we did a lot of lighting shows, in Okada, in Aspire Building, a couple of things, and these are all controlled by computers
Mm-hmm.
from the cell phone, anywhere. No, we have a master control system there. We have a viewing deck there, so we can monitor the lighting, no, live monitoring, no, and you can also monitor it through your phone. So it's a very, very complicated program. I hope you enjoy it. We're launching it on April 15
Mm-hmm.
because we're still connecting the power. No, it's a huge, it's a massive project. It's a massive project.
I can
Really.
just imagine. But I guess the people of Leyte and Samar have to be very thankful na something like this happened, because it's very good for tourism also.
Yeah, but it's it's wrong timing. No? We started this during the pandemic. No,
Mm-hmm.
we started in April with a skeleton force. That's why it took us 8 months to finish it. Normally, it would take only 3 months to do it. Well, 3 to 4 months, no, because you load up with people. No, you put about. I have 300 people there right now.
That's
These are the
massive.
people who work in it. It's massive. It's massive. It's massive. I tell you, it's massive. Huh? So that's about it. It's supposed to bring. It's funny because you have the best lighted bridge and the best light show, but in a godforsaken place, no?
That's right.
The borders of Samar and Leyte. Huh? Not even in Tacloban or Catbalogan. Not in Tacloban or
Precisely.
Catbalogan. It's in the remote area where you cross borders from Samar to Leyte, and vice versa. So the metropolitan areas are about 1 hour away from the bridge. And the government just really, Shari Antan, the congressman,
The governor?
the governor, yeah. The governor now is her mother. She's now a congressman. So it was just a dream come true for her. No? And we went through the regular bidding process. And the bidding process alone took about 3 months. Because when you have a bidding, you have terms of reference, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Nakalaban ko doon, puro mabibigat eh. Philips, Osram, yun ang mga kalaban natin ng taga-Europe. Binigay nila sa atin because we had the most economical installation. No? Maybe sila mahal, no? Philips and Osram are very expensive. So, yun.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, George.
If I may go back in time and pick your brains a bit, how did you get started with this business? Naging passion mo ba to nung bata ka pa?
Oh yeah, since I was 7 years old, I was tinkering already with electronic equipment. But my other interests, I started as a marketing director of S.C. Johnson. No? That's up to 1967. No? And then after that, I put up my own stock brokerage, stock market. No, I joined my cousin bombing Trinidad. But all of this was
Bombing
then of
is your
course the game
cousin
of the
pala?
generals. George, Ronnie Pasola, no?
Yeah, Ronnie. And bombing is your cousin.
Sorry?
Bombing was
We
your
partnered
cousin?
in the game of the generals. It's still alive until now. No, it's still one of my businesses. No? It's the game of the generals. It's being sold in stores now, no, and
Yes,
supermarkets.
that's right.
But during all of this, after this, and then I went into real estate. I'm really just a very hyper person when it comes to business. No, whatever comes, I grab it. No, like the stock market. But then this audio and lighting business fascinated me because since I was young, and my father was a lot of records from U.S. and I used to buy my records in Cartimar, no? Boyet, you know that, no? By Jessie, no? Compadre, no? In 1979, my company is now 42 years old. No? I started it in 1979. He asked me to supply DJs to his disco called Another World, no?
The world,
Which
right.
is really now the Hermes store, no? It turned into Shakey's and then it's Hermes, no? After that, I kind of liked what I was doing already, no? I was into it, no? Because I was DJing, ginanahan ako, no? Dahil, remember, Boyet, our pioneers, no? Maluga Erlan, no? Boyet, Jessie, no? After that, I became so ganado that I tried doing it with other discos. The second one we had was Pirates Den in Admiral Hotel.
Right.
But you see, the Pirates Den was too tempting for me to see Stargazer. Whenever I would go out, come home after disco hours, Stargazer was still pumping. Nakikita ko yung Silais Hotel, sa taas, bakbakan, no? Strobe light and everything. So I decided to probe and talk to them. No? D.Y. Enriquez was a friend, but he referred me to his management team because I had no track record yet. No, so they started me out with Playboy Club of Manila, no, which was really good because the bunnies were there every night. No, so we had the fringe benefits. No, after 2 years, or they finally told me, Wopsy, you have the price plum. You take care of Stargazer because they like the music in Playboy Club of Manila, no? And the rest is history. That's when I met Louie. Well, Louie and I are good friends, but that's when it all gelled together, no? B-Boy, me, and Louie. Louie was in charge of PR. I was in charge of the technical, and B-Boy was our landlord in the hotel. No? So then we put our brains together, and it was the first time they had the disco entry card the privilege
Yeah.
card.
Uh-huh.
That was when the privilege card for clubs was born. And that's why the rest is history. Stargazer made it, and then we went to Circus, and then to marami na eh. We built over 200 discos in a span of about until 2003, in a span of 20 years, no, less 15 years. We built
200?
discos all over the world. No, we Maldives, Malaysia, Japan. We built the biggest disco in Japan. No, it was 5,000 square meters. No, and then we went to Maldives. I had 2 clubs there in Maldives, and then we went to Malaysia, Indonesia. We went into all sorts of crazy things, even in San Francisco, no? Because Tito Ray had a disco there, a bar in San Francisco, so we did that also. And Guam, we also did Guam. I mean, everything was interconnected already. And the company called First Audio then, now my company is called Amigo Entertainment Technologies. No? It formerly was called First Audio. Boyet is a member of First Audio. Jessie and I were together in his DJ competitions, and actually there were only two technical kings there, not Jessie and myself. Not Jessie was taking care of the international competitions, and I was focused on the local market. Buti pa itong kumpadre ko, panay yung biyahe every year sa London, di ba? Panay yung punta mo doon. Kumpadre.
Jessie tahimik, oh.
Wala reaction, no?
Naglalag yung signal. But those were really good days, Boss Wopsy, because I joined you for pre-opening of Stargazer. That was about November of 1980. I joined you in November of 1980. That was already I was still playing anywhere else at that time, but I met you met me in Disco Stereo in Green Hills.
DS. Sa DS.
That's where I met Wopsy Zamora, because Wopsy was just so curious as what he was hearing about. There's this store in Green Hills that have DJs making mixtapes.
Yeah.
And he found out about it. So he went to the store one day and talked to 2 of us, telling us, why don't you join us? I have a company. Come, I need DJs. And we joined him, which made me first play in Another World. That's my entry point to First Audio. After that was Pirates Den. And then eventually opening up late December, soft opening ng Gazer. And then stayed there until about 82, I think, 82, 83.
Faces, 1987.
Faces at 87. Between 82 and 84, I was doing all sorts of other things, which also led me to join George Mercado in Kiss FM.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boyet was one of my pioneer DJs then. Because I went DJ shopping, I heard about this guy called Art Laurel, no?
Oh, yeah,
Laurel.
Art, right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he owns Disco Stereo, so I went to Green Hills and introduced me to his DJs, and we finally picked 2, no? Boyet and JB Naval, right? Boyet? It was Boyet and JB Naval. And while we were growing, we were harvesting for more DJs. And
grabe yung lineup nun. Grabe yung lineup nun. Grabe yung unang 7 ni Wopsy. He had names like Tony Santiago, Rick Tech,
Malu Garland, Malu
Garland, Villas Valdez, who also was on radio for a while.
Villas was a restaurant DJ. She was not a
and
DJ.
Also Rico Gutierrez.
Yes,
George
another good
and
DJ.
Jessie and Bob would remember who Rico Gutierrez was.
Yeah, I do.
Still alive. Guy's still alive. He is still alive.
Oh, good to know.
Why pa si Rico?
Yeah, and then
Pero
we had
grabe,
Rocky and
Boyet,
Zeke.
napaka-omnipresent mo.
Wow.
Kahit saan ako pumuntang nung nagmo-mobile circuit kami. Well, hindi pala mobile circuit. Yung dinadalaw namin yung mga discos. I see you there all the time. Kung saan man yun.
Bata pa ako noon, malakas pa katawan ko noon.
Talagang nalalagari mo lahat yun. And that's very impressive. Remarkable actually.
Maraming chicks. Madaming chicks eh. Pag DJ ka no, madaming chicks.
Saka si Yetski naka-contodo necktie pa yan palagi. Di ba?
Yan.
Oo, nako.
Pero ano
Hindi
yun?
mawawala yan.
But the necktie and the suits came about simply because that was the Playboy Club influence.
Oh.
Because the Playboy Club DJs would have to be in the suit. That was the requirement.
Buti hindi ka pinagsuot ng tails.
Hindi nga. Gusto ko sana mag-tails eh. Pero ayaw daw. Wag daw.
Parang when I was in Malacanang, they were requiring me, yung security, to wear barong. DJ ka, nakabarong ka, no? Yung parang teka muna. No? Buti na lang.
Sinama mo ako nun minsan eh.
Mrs. Marcos, sabi ko, pwede kahit coat and tie na lang, not barong. Pumayag naman siya. So I was the only one nagko-coat and tie. Because everybody was really wearing barong, except for Manda Elizalde, who was always wearing his all-white outfit.
I think disco in for that matter, disco in the 70s really was a musical wonder because it really bridged the gap for a lot of the generation. I remember my grandmother liking That's the Way I Like It. She loved that. And this was the late 70s. She loved That's the Way I Like It. She loved Donna Summer. She loved the Bee Gees. So I think more than anything, the music of that particular timeline was so universal. I mean, really, we were coming off a musical generation that had already the creepings of what funk and soul was. It was Tower of Power, Chicago. The Commodores were starting out already in '73. Well, where else opened in '71 for that? Just to put it out on the table. Where else opened in '71? So you can just imagine that length of time between them opening and me coming in as a DJ. So that 6 years, 7 years span was a lot of education for me as far as music was concerned. Bumibili ako ng plaka sa Unimart.
18 pesos pa yung plaka nun sa Unimart.
Small LP yun. Ang 45, 50 pesos.
Having said all those things, ito masakit no? We're almost at the end of our show. This is so sad because ang dami sana pwede pag-usapan pa no? With Boyet, Jessie, Wopsy, Louie, and hopefully we could have a part 2 of this. But before we finally say goodbye, Jessie, parting words from the man himself. Kumbaga, the godfather of disco DJs. Yeah.
Well, thunders na tayo, but ito pa din ang ginagawa natin. Unlike my compadre, Wopsy. Compadre, I hope to see you soon. But anyway, just keep going. That's my stand in life. Hanggat kaya lang. Okay lang. Tuloy-tuloy pa din. So, thank you sa pag-invite, George. And I hope to see you soon, one of these days.
Yeah.
Guys.
Bibilib ka kay Jessie. Itim pa rin yung buhok no?
Well, I will not deny. Nagtitina na ako. Definitely, I'm 67. So,
ginagamit Jobos.
Pag hindi ko tinina yan, baka mukhang 90 anyos na ako.
Di Jobos yan. Tanchutik na itim.
Buta hindi Broadway shoe polish.
Yan!
Wopsy, your turn. Parting word.
Well, Jessie, sorry, unlike you, my hair is real. Walang tina yan. Walang tina. Puti. Pero ano yan, tunay ito. Medyo ano pa. Okay, well, for my field, with the AVL industry, expect more special effects. This trend now is in special effects, like video projection mapping, augmented reality. That's what we're doing now. We're into this
intelligent.
Used to be called virtual reality. No?
Yeah.
Now it's called augmented reality. like even in your cell phone, when you do the mess, you can put horns or tongues sticking out. That's what you call augmented reality. And we're doing a club now, which will have that. We'll to talk about it. But I would like to thank George for inviting me. It's an honor for me to be in this group, and I'm inviting me. And Bob and Teddy, thank you so much. Jessie, we'll see more of each other because we're turning 77 this year, so we're still working, kicking ass. No? So
Yeah.
I'll see you guys. Thank you so much. I'm
Thank
honored.
you,
I'm
Wopsy.
deeply honored, and I'm humbled by this.
You know, I always keep on wondering, had Wopsy not gone into lighting and audio, maybe he would have been a Mr. Twinkle Toes like his dad, Arturo Zamora. Di ba? Yun ang
Na-
partner ni Chito
You know, in
Feliciano before.
sa disco, I push drinks, I push smoking.
Mhm.
Well, I don't push drugs, but drugs are prevalent there. And I
Mhm.
push people to dance with good music. But none of this I ever indulged with. I never drank since I was born. I don't know how to dance. I never drank, no, and never into drugs, definitely. And I pushed them. I was the pusher, no, pushing people to dance and enjoy. But I was just happy with my own. I was just happy being behind the booth, no. Buhay natin yan Boyet. Gusto ko lang doon.
Yes, sir.
And it's a safety haven for me because it's too crowded kasi
Yeah, at
take
least
refuge
inside
in
the booth.
DJ booth.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's
All
about
right,
it.
Boyet. Boyet?
Well, ako, first and foremost, I owe a debt of gratitude, a very big debt of gratitude to my co-guests today, uh, Wopsy, Jessie, and of course Louie Y. But also to George and Tito Bob. You are people. Well, sana si Teddy nakatrabaho ko kahit konti. But you are all part and parcel of what I have been, what I am now, and what I will be. Because you have actually taught me so much. More than anything, it is the love for music. It is the love for our craft. And I hope that for everybody else that has followed suit, we'll have the same love, we'll have the same passion, because life will never be the same without music. Life is not the same without music. We all need music in our lives. And that's one of the reasons why during the pandemic that I do live streams, not only for my own entertainment, but just to take people back when everything was a lot better, much better. We might have we might not we might now have a lot of gray hairs, but the feeling is strong. Ika nga ni Yoda, the force is strong with this one, and it will keep being strong simply because of that love for music and the inspiration that you gentlemen have given forth to me all these years. We party until we can't. I love you guys. Thank you, George. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Teddy. Thank you, Tito Bob.
I love
Thank you,
you,
Yetsky.
Boyet. I love you. Oh,
And-
Boyet, plug mo na rin yung show nyo ni Bill coming up.
Ah,
Meron kayong
yeah,
program.
hopefully, Hardball will be back on air. I will not announce the network yet, but we are in the works of doing a revival of Hardball, the multi-awarded sports talk show, which ran for 13 years uninterrupted on ANC. And also, please do not fail to tune in to my Boyet Sison live stream page where I play music from, oh Lord, from the day I was born until now. Tonight, for all of you, where else? Mali pala.
Yun, no?
Ayun, yun, yun.
Where else fans? Where else fans? I'll be playing a 4-hour exclusive Where Else disco set from the Commodores all the way to
Angela Clemons.
Angela Clemons siguro. O yan. Ano yun?
Grace
So for
Jones.
all you baby boomers, ilabas na ang beer na 50 pesos na ngayon sa supermarket. Labas nyo yung video, panabikin nyo na ngayon pa lang. Starting at 8 o'clock p.m. Manila time, I'll be playing the music
Where
of
else?
our lifetime on the Boyet Season live stream Facebook page. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Boyet. Ted.
Yeah, thanks to our guest for sharing. Lalong tumaas yung disco fever ko ngayon.
Yun.
Pero thank you to Design Makati, Roy Orjales
Design
for our
Makati,
shirt.
right. Roy, thank you.
And BioFresh.
Mhm.
Yes, of course.
Oh, by your
And
friend.
on Monday sa Ox, we'll have the love story of Alabat Mayor Fernando de Mesa and wife Evangeline.
Okay. Bob.
Again, kinilig na naman ako dahil sa mga bisita natin. Thank you so much to our guests for giving credence to our program once more. At saka pumping us up, raising the bar up a lot higher. Dahil ito na yung mga lords eh. Si Sir Wopsy, si Jessie lalo na, at saka
Let's go,
si
Lord!
Louie Ysmael.
Diba?
And of course, wag mo nang ilayo si Boyet Sison sa usapan. He's been there, he's done that, and you can count on him for credibility at saka anything about the disco scene, disco culture, makikwento niya sa iyo yan at saka so much more. So anyway, maraming salamat gentlemen. Thank you so much.
You know, you ladies and gentlemen, you just watched history unfold today. We gathered the best, si Bob tawag nga, the disco lords in the industry, and we are very
Disco
thankful
Lord.
for Disco Lord! Di ba? Ganun, no? So, thank you so much for this. And before anything else, I have a masterclass on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and I have a continuing series now on how to be an effective broadcaster. So if you want to learn a thing or two about broadcast, go to Spotify, look for Masterclass George Boone, and hopefully you get to learn a thing or two with that. And I'd like to thank Mia Concepcion, Angel Caneda, Michelle Vincents in North Carolina, and of course John Tupas, Heneres Guerra, and all the rest who stayed with us this morning. We are gonna see you again next week for another episode. It's gonna be a Valentine thing. Hopefully we could bring in some lovers next week here on Boomers Bank. Thank you
Pwede
so
rin Chinese
much.
New Year, George.
Chinese New Year, pwede din. Stay safe and sane. Ad Maiorem Dei Gloria. Good night.